All right. So first up on the show is Emad Guirguis, the owner of SimpliBookkeeping, a company that helps business owners understand more about their finances and the projection of their growth. Emad, welcome back to the show.
Thanks again, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I actually got that intro right that time, I think. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, slow seasons. I know we mentioned this a little bit before. So what kind of things should business owners really be focusing on as they are, they know a slow season is coming? Mm-hmm. Or they're planning for it 6 months from now or whatever. But what's the mindset there, and what are the action steps that they really need to kind of focus on?
So I would say taking it from the beginning. So for a lot of business, some have high seasons, some have low seasons. But it's really good to identify when those seasons are, right? After identifying them, it's always good to understand when to strategize and when to grow and when to market, right? So let's start with marketing, because I know you're a marketing specialist, Mark. When is the perfect time to market?
All the time.
All the time, that's right.
Yeah.
And then what's the best time to strategize? Is it during your high season or your low season?
Well, I would say during the low season, you're going to have more time for strategy. And when it comes to developing something for implementation, that's probably a better.
Absolutely right. Yep. During your high season, you want to work on growing, collecting some additional funds or resources or whatever the case may be. So during your slow seasons, you're not having to stress so much, are we going to make it? Meanwhile, you can actually focus on, okay, this is how I'm going to forecast and plan for my next high season. That way we can be as efficient and strong as possible. That way we can keep growing and move on to that next following year. So that's kind of the mindset there between high seasons, low seasons, and how to budget for it. Another aspect for it too is how to budget. So let's say you've got 6 months out of the year where your revenue is a little bit higher than the other 6 months. You want to plan to see, okay, what is the minimal amount that I need to make it during the high seasons? That way, during the slow seasons, I have enough to get me through it as well and not struggle or go out of business, because that's what a lot of business owners get into is they're doing great, and then one slow season puts them out of commission. And that's how we want to kind of plan for that.
I think we saw that a lot in 2020, especially the restaurant industry. Those restaurants that have been around forever, and
that's
they were
a
doing
freak
great.
thing though that happened, right? I mean, that's the 2020. Yeah. I mean, but when it comes to the slow seasons, I would just ask this: can't we thrive in the slow season as well?
Absolutely.
I mean, when we were talking earlier, it sounded like you had some ideas on maybe things that you would do, some tweaks that you would make, or maybe a pivot of some kind for the slow season. What were your thoughts there?
Well, during the slow season, what we have to do is look at what are we going to sell differently. In our high season, what we're wanting are recurring clients. We love that recurring revenue that comes in. We know it's there. We know how to plan. But in the summertime, that goes out the window. People are not wanting recurring service. They're going out on vacations. They're on cruises. Heck, they're gone for months. So we can't count on that. So then what we have to do is market for a different level of service. And in this case, move in, move outs. Why are people moving in or moving out? Well, it's the moving season for families, our prime customer base, because they're wanting to start kids in a different school district. Maybe they were transferred. This is when they start moving. So we market to that particular segment rather than to the busy parents, that want that recurring business pivot every time.
And the thing is, it happens every year. How far in advance do you start marketing that?
We probably market that just in time, actually, because, and I'm serious, because what we do is we try to turn the spigot on and then we can turn it off specifically to what we're looking for, within the next, that day, that week, that month. It could be that granular with the way marketing is these days.
Sure. And Emad, when you're talking to your customers or your clients, right?
Yep.
And when it comes, is this the kind of stuff that you're getting into, or you just help them realize, hey, this is where your curves are, or this is where your ups and downs are, so that helps them with clarity? Or do you actually help them maybe generate ideas? Do you send them over to Heather for coaching? I mean, how do you handle those kind of issues?
So absolutely, I think for foremost, everyone should have a business coach.
Yeah.
It's specifically for that reason. Why? Because not only will a bookkeeper work with the coach, but together combined, then we can really help those ideas come to that business owner. So by identifying which seasons they are and how far behind or how much we have to strategize, then the business coach can kind of come in and say, okay, what other ideas in your industry or can you work with, kind of like Morris was saying, can it work for you as a business owner to where during your slow seasons, your employees still have enough work to stay on, but still maintaining and sustaining and then still trying to grow and strategize.
So let's talk about your team for just a second. So
Sure.
I don't think I even realized that you were connected like that, and that when you're helping somebody, I know you network a lot, right? But this idea that you can make recommendations to your clients about, hey, let's talk with so-and-so, or let's do this. Let's bring in somebody else, an expert in the field that can help you gain even more clarity than I'm already giving you, right?
Right.
That's a really cool thing. That's really thinking about accounting, right? Bookkeeping at a whole different level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's at the end, our passion is helping the business owner.
Yeah.
Yes, we do take it from in a financial perspective or angle, but at the end of the day, we want them to thrive as well, because not only does it help us, it also helps society and it helps them as well. So everyone benefits. So approaching a client and saying, I'm just going to do your bookkeeping, that's it, that's the wrong approach. It's
That's
more
very
so
limited.
I want to help you become as successful as you can. And if I have resources, let's say for example, Heather, she's a fantastic resource, then not only can I go in and provide just bookkeeping and then financial advice, but then I can bring in Heather's expertise, and that'll help them excel to a whole nother level.
Right. Within the context of your service, that's really a whole other level of bookkeeping, man. I mean, congratulations on doing that. I think that's super cool.
Yeah,
it may
absolutely.
seem like a no-brainer to you, but it wasn't a no-brainer for me in what you're doing.
Really?
So,
And I think that's especially when you care about the customers and you
nailed it. Yep.
actually want them to grow. It's very easy to start helping them with the thing that they hired you to do. And then that thing expands out until you look up and you're like, oh, well, I'm also your business coach and you're a bookkeeper. And maybe we're doing your accounting and I'm not a CPA, but
Right.
you should really do this for your taxes. It can expound because you know the answers, right? And you want to give them that tool to succeed. And the thing is, when Emad says it, it makes so much sense. It's so cut and dry, but we find over and over again business owners not doing that naturally. And it sounds so simple. What are some of the things that keep them from just doing this without you?
It's clarify a little bit more.
they hate numbers.
Yeah, that's the thing. When Emad says it, it sounds so simple, right? It's just identify your busy season, identify your slow season. What is your bare minimum to survive in the slow season? Budget for it.
Well, and then plan for more
course.
growth. That's what I'm
Plan
like.
for more
But I think
growth.
like a marketing guy, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, what else can we do here, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I approach it.
And I think the planning part's the best part, because then you're kind of configuring your team to be more efficient, more productive, more beneficial and cost effective too. So not some people think, okay, maybe our revenue isn't necessarily increasing, but then you've got to think, okay, what about your bottom line as well? Maybe your bottom line is increasing. That in itself is also an increase in strategizing. How do we become more efficient? Maybe you as the business owner were spending, 5 or 6 hours of work a day or 12, and now it got cut down in half. That's also a way of increasing as well.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
it's how you think about it, because now it gives you more ability and time to go out and market more or make more connections or network. So it's how to benefit in other ways and resources.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, Emad. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Absolutely. So best way to give us is a call at 832-518-9368, or you can shoot us an email directly to myself at emad@SimpliBookkeeping, simply with an I. Bookkeeping is spelled 2 O's, 2 K's, 2 E's. Thanks, everyone.
All right, that's awesome.